Where you're going in life, perhaps it's unknown. And to most of us, we don't know what tomorrow holds, but we know who holds tomorrow. We know God holds tomorrow. The moment you sit down and reflect, your faith is activated and you gather hope that indeed there is a greater future ahead. Whatever you are facing, have hope. The mercies of God are new every single morning. The mercies of God are everlasting and everlasting. God is faithful. Remembering God's goodness fuels unshakable faith. Proper reflection, it transforms any mistake into wisdom and any pain into purpose. I have come to realize and to discover that there is a greater number of people that they lose strength to pursue life. They lose strength to move on with life. There are a number of people that they don't have clarity on their vision. They don't know where they're going, what they're supposed to fulfill and pursue in life. There are so many people who even start to lose trust towards God. They lose trust. They don't trust God anymore. There are a lot of people who they don't have the wisdom to make the right decision for day-to-day activities. There are so many issues that are happening to people, and I have clustered all those problems arise because of one great principle, the principle that we forget. That because we forget that principle, we experience quite a number of issues in life, like forgetting where we are, forgetting where we are going, losing trust before God, lack of strength. And the principle that I want us to talk about today is the principle of reflection. The principle of reflection. The question goes like this: how many times have you sat down, reflected, remembered where God took you, remembered the achievements that you had, remembered how did you get to where you are right now, remembered the things that God has done to you? And it is because most of us forget that principle. We forget to sit down and reflect. We don't give ourselves time to be by ourselves and look at the past and reflect. How many battles have I conquered? Where did God take me from? Where did I come from and where am I going? What is the issue that I once faced that is similar to the issue that I'm currently facing, that will give me the wisdom to make the decision right now? Because we don't do that process of reflecting on the past events, we lose the power, we lose the vision, we lose the strength, we lose the trust to keep moving forward with God. And today, that is our discussion, that let us explore why is it important for you to reflect, and how is the principle of reflection even supposed to be practiced, and what will be the outcomes when you actually employ your mind to reflect on the things that God has done. And our key verse will be coming from the words that David spoke. David in the book of Psalms, Psalm 77:11, he said like this. Let me read for you. He says, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will consider all your works and meditate on your mighty deeds. Such a profound principle that David is trying to lay out to us, that there is a point in time that he was facing battles. He was facing enemies all around him. He was facing issues. And he got to the point that he said to himself, I cannot do it on my own. I cannot make it. But he said, rather than giving up, which most of us are doing today, that when we face issues of life, we give up, we fail, we lose hope, we think it's not going to happen. But David said, in as much as I'm surrounded by enemies all around, enemies are attacking me, but I will sit down and I will remember the great deeds of the Lord. I will remember the great miracles that God did before. I will remember the things that God has done before. Why is he doing that? He is doing that because he's saying, the God who helped me before will be the same God who will help me now. And I am guaranteed of victory because the God that I serve is a faithful God. And if he did amazing things before, he's going to eventually do amazing things now in my situation. And that is my point to you now, that what are you facing? The issue that you are facing, the issue that you're encountering, the only thing that you're supposed to do as of now is sit back, reflect. How many battles have you won? Do you think that is the biggest problem that you have ever faced? You might say yes, but because you don't have a tracker of the things that you have encountered before and won. You have won greater battles than the one you are currently facing. You have won greater things than the one you are currently enduring. God has done amazing things to you than the problem that you are currently facing. And the only medicine, the only remedy to the issue that you are facing right now is just to pause. Pause and reflect. Pause and remember. Just as how David did. Remember where God took you from. Remember the things God did. Remember the battles that you fought and conquered and won. That should give you strength. That should give you hope. That should give you courage to pursue life even more. And that is why I started by saying there are a lot of people losing faith. There are a lot of people losing trust towards God. There are a lot of people that are falling down. They lose strength. Why? They don't sit down and reflect. Very important principle. I'm starting to lay it down to you. So I say here that reflections keeps your faith alive and your hope strong. That's the point that I want to mention to you, that the moment you sit down and reflect, your faith is activated and you gather hope that indeed there is a greater future ahead. There's a greater future ahead, that the things that I'm facing right now, they are not the biggest enemies I have faced before. I have faced worse enemies and I overcame. That's why I'm here today. And even this matter that I'm doing right now, I will still overcome because of who is with me. Very important principle to understand. And now the book of Lamentation is also giving us the very same principle, what it says. So let's read together. This is coming from the book of Lamentation 3, from verse 21 to 23. Let's read together. It says, "This I recall in my mind, therefore I have hope." This I recall in my mind, therefore I have hope. Another verse, it says, "This I remember in my mind, therefore I have hope." And it says, "It is the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed, because of his compassionate never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." He's saying, because of this that I remember in my mind, I have hope. And this is my message to you. Whatever you are facing, have hope. Why? You have hope because you are saying, the mercies of God are new every single morning. The mercies of God are everlasting and everlasting. God is faithful. When you remember that, you gather hope and you get strength to move on with life. Understand that very important principle. Now, this I say here again, remembering God's goodness fuels unshakable faith or unshakable hope. Same principle that I mentioned before, that when you remember the things that God has done to you, you have hope to keep pursuing life. So what is it? What is it that is stressing you? What is it that you are currently enduring? What is it that you are currently facing that you feel God has left you, God has forgotten you? No, he hasn't. You have forgotten. The issue is you have forgotten. If you sit down and remember where God took you, you will have the strength to move on. And another importance now of reflection is you gain the heart of gratitude. Reflection gives you a heart of gratitude. That when you sit down in sorrow, always crying, always lamenting, always complaining, always speaking negative things, it's again because you forgot. But when you sit down and remember the things that God has done to you, you will find yourself rejoicing. You will find yourself thanking God. You will not have words to say. You will say, God has done amazing things to me. Thank you. You will even forget your immediate problems because you remember the things that God has done for you. So a heart of gratitude is cultivated in your spirit when you adapt this principle of always setting time aside and remembering the things that God has done to you. So for a moment, I want us to think together. You are in a journey. You are traveling. Moving from a certain location to another location, but it's unknown to you. The only thing that you have been given is a map or a GPS. Now we use GPS in our phones. You have your GPS. and you're moving from A to Z. You have your bags, everything is good with you. You are traveling maybe on foot. Let's say, take an example on foot. For you to be able to reach your destination, which is unknown to you, you need to be able to use that GPS, look at it, and understand there are places that I have already crossed. And if I cross them again, that means I am in a loop. I am not supposed to go back here. I am supposed to move from here to this place, but I already crossed this path. And that is the same thing. If a traveler is moving from point A to point Z, and point Z is unknown, there is a need to always look back and say, oh, this I have passed through this. Where you're going in life, perhaps it's unknown. And to most of us, we don't know what tomorrow holds, but we know who holds tomorrow. We know God holds tomorrow. We know where He took us from, and we know where He's taking us by trusting Him. But as individuals, necessarily, you might not know what tomorrow holds. The only way that you'll be able to reach that destination safely is, one, to trust in the map that you've been given. But two is to reflect, where have I come from? I have come from point A. Where am I right now? I am point Y. Okay, so I have crossed A to Y now. I am not supposed to repeat this so that I can cross from Y to Z. Very important. A traveler who doesn't reflect on where they come from, it's easy for them to continue being in a loop. And that is why most of us, we are in a constant loop of negative behaviors. We have behavior that never ends. Why? Because we do things without sitting down and reflecting. Is this something that I have once passed? Is this an issue that I have once encountered? If it is, how did I react? Or how did I do last time? And how am I supposed to do right now? You don't have a journal of your losses and your victories. Your losses are to give you lessons that I passed through this issue. This is what I did and this is how I failed. And now if I reflect on my losses, I gain wisdom. That's why I said people don't have wisdom to make decisions, because they don't reflect on their past. When you reflect on your past, your negative events, not to entangle you, but to give you the wisdom to do the right decisions now. And when we reflect on your victories in the past, they are for giving you faith. They are for giving you hope. They are for giving you strength, such that you can move in life with the courage to continue pursuing life. Very important. As a traveler, I must sit down and reflect on where I am going. And that is how I am able to attain my prize and in my victory. Now, there are so many Bible individuals, Bible heroes of the Bible times, that they went through this very process. And through passing through this very process, they were able now to attain the mark. I can speak of Moses. I can speak of David. I can speak of the words of Paul to Timothy. They had to be reminded of the importance of actually reflecting, right? And we already discussed the very important aspect that David went through. And it was through remembrance that David acquired strength and the hope to face tomorrow and even fight against his enemies. But let's listen to the words that Moses did. Moses is saying, this is the book of Deuteronomy 8:2. And he's telling the children of Israel, he's saying, hey guys, remember how the Lord your God led you out all of the way in the wilderness these 40 years to humble and test you in order to know what is in your heart. He's telling them, now you are here. Now you want to serve another God. Now you want to do this. But he's saying, don't do that. Why? He's saying, remember the Lord your God, who delivered you from Egypt, who led you in the wilderness these 40 years. So now you are facing this temptation. My brother, my sister, you are facing this temptation. Remember where God brought you from. Remember that He healed your diseases. Remember that He provided you when you had no means. Remember that He sustained you. Remember that He healed your brother, your sister, your relative, your mother, your father. Remember the deeds of God, such that you can know that this kind of God, who is like Him, who is like this kind of God, that I should do this kind of thing. And that is where Joseph acquired the strength to win against temptations, because he knew the kind of God that he was serving. In Potiphar's house, ran away. In the prison, served faithfully. Why? He always remembered the things that God has done before. Even when he went to the palace and his brothers came to him, when they asked him and they apologized, he said, "No, don't worry, guys. It was all God's doing." Who would think like that? That your brother wanted to kill you, your brothers threw you in the pit, your brothers sold you to slavery. Who would think that all of that it's God's doing? You will never be able to think of that unless you sit down and you reflect. God helped me. God rescued me. God saved me. God did 1 and 2 and 3 things to the point that I am at right now. It is God's doing and nobody else. That mindset, that understanding gives you power to keep pursuing life. So this is a call. Remember. Reflect on what God did to you. Remember that. I am reminded of Hannah, the mother of Samuel. After God gave her Samuel, he sat back and reflected and remembered. He said, "Hey, I had given a commitment that I will give Samuel to the house of God." And he went back to fulfill it. And he praised God after God gave her a child. Very important. That today you are in a problem. You say, "God, I will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you do this to me, good." But once the problem is sorted, you forget. Is that you? Am I talking to you? What kind of commitment, what kind of covenant did you enter with God? And have you fulfilled it? Have you done what you said you were going to do? And is that impairing your relationship with God in some capacity, or it's not? Today, this is a call and it's a challenge. Remember what you had committed to God. Remember even what you had committed to some people. That, hey, my brother, hey, my sister, if I do 1, 2, 3 thing, if I succeed on this, I will come back and do this and this and this to you. Have you done it? Not only towards God, but even towards men. That your word should be yes, yes, and nothing more than that. If you said you were going to do it, did you do it? Remembering. Reflection helps improve even your relationship. Your relationships can also be improved because you remember your words. Reflection. Reflect, just as how Anna reflected and he went back and he gave Samuel to be a prophet. Remember. I want you to understand that. Very amazing principle. Now, something that I read here again, I say, your memory of God's past faithfulness sustains you in today's battles. Amazing. Your memory of God's past faithfulness sustains you in today's battles. So, whatever you are going through today, don't cry so much. Don't even try to find solutions so much. Don't worry so much. The challenge that I'm giving you today is sit down just by yourself with your notebook and then go back 10 years, 20 years, 1 year, 5 years, 6 months. Write the things that God did, that you remember that God came through to me, and see the strength, the faith, the hope, the courage that you acquire to face today's battle. You will be amazed on how you will be experiencing life going forward. If you remember the things that God has done to you, you gather strength to move forward with life. Remember that, understand that. Now, this is what I want to tell you is you will not be able to reflect without meditation. Or even reflection itself, it's meditation. If you sit down, you close even your eyes and you remember, it's you're meditating. And that is exactly what David is also saying. Psalms 1:2. He's saying, "But my delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law I meditate day and night." You think and you ponder on the word of God. You constantly think of what God has done. You constantly think. Why do you think you even read the Bible? The Bible, it says, "And these things were written for our lessons or for our learning." When you read about the story of the children of Israel, when you read about the judges, Samson, when you read about Samuel, when you read about Moses, Joshua, when you read about Paul, what is it for? It's a kind of meditation that you see what God did to these people. And when you read about them and your faith is activated. Your faith is activated because faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. When you hear the word of God, whether through hearing or through reading, and your spirit hears it, you acquire faith to move in life. So you can be your own Bible, that you go back in time. Rather than reading what David won, you read what you also won. What is it that you won? What is it that you conquered? And that gives you power. You meditate on the faithfulness of God in your own life and you gather strength. Joshua 1:8. May the words of this book never depart from your mouth, but meditate on them day and night, and be so careful to do what is written in it, and you shall be prosperous and successful. Very important that you need to meditate. When you meditate and you think of them, and you are careful to do all that is written in it, then you shall be prosperous. Amazing principle that you desire to prosper in life. Meditate. Meditate that God came through. Meditate and act upon it, and you shall be prosperous. Amazing. Now, Paul is laying to us a very profound principle. He's speaking to the church in Philippi, but as he's speaking to the churches in Philippi, he's also speaking to us right now, who we are facing certain issues in life. He's saying this. He's saying, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure. Careful, reading these words, careful. He's saying true, honest, just, pure. He's saying whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. He's saying, if there is any virtue and if there is any praise, he is saying, think of these things. Think of these things. Is it pure? Is it lovely? Is it just? Is it true? Is it honest? Is it having any virtue? Is it worthy of a praise? Think of those things. And when you think of those things, you will not stumble. You will not stumble. So today, stop thinking about your negativity. Stop thinking about the negatives that you're experiencing. Stop thinking about the issues that are surrounding you, the problems, the people, the circumstances, the events. Stop thinking of those. But it's a call to start thinking on the things that are pure, that are true, that are noble, that are honest, that are lovely, that are of good report. And if you do those things, you will never stumble. You will gather strength to move on and to pursue life. Understand that, child of God. Understand that, my friend. And God will cause a transformation in your life. I started by giving you an example of issues that are solved when you sit down and reflect. The Bible, in so many different places, it tells us the importance of actually gaining wisdom from past experiences. When you reflect, I told you, some people don't have the wisdom to solve today's problems because they don't reflect on what they faced before. And we see this in so many places. We see this in the life of David as well. We see this in the life of Solomon. We see this in the life of Peter. The difference between Peter and Judas Iscariot. Peter, after neglecting or rejecting Jesus, he didn't do anything else but went in and reflected, what have I done? He cried, what have I done? That means that person went back a few minutes ago and said, oh, whatever I have done is not right. And I cannot do another wrong. He repented. Judas Iscariot did wrong, and then he didn't take time to reflect that he did. Even if he did, then he decided to do another wrong item. He hanged himself. That in as much as he took time to reflect, perhaps he still made a wrong decision. But when you take time to reflect, choose a right decision. That yes, I admit I did a wrong thing, but I will not torment myself. I will not torture myself because of what I have done. And this is what even Paul is teaching us. Apostle Paul in so many places is telling us as well. He's saying, hey, I forget the former things. Just imagine if Apostle Paul was taking his time to remember the things that he used to do in the past. That I used to be a prosecutor of the church. I used to be the killer of the church. And then he said, if I am a killer of the church, I'm not going to, I can't be saved. But he said, I forget the things that are behind me, and I focus for the things that are ahead of me. I focus on the things that are ahead of me. That person reflected on their past and decided to pursue a right cause. It's a call. When you reflect on your past events, they should give you the wisdom. They should give you the knowledge and the understanding to move forward with excellence. You keep doing same mistakes because you don't reflect. And if you reflect, you don't necessarily make a conscious choice that I'll do the right things, which is a mistake. So now reflect on your past and gain wisdom from it, and then make the right decisions and see your life transformed. The reason someone search for wisdom is because of reflection. Very important. Understand that. The reason Nehemiah went forward to start building the wall, it's because he reflected. He said, no, is this the same God we serve? Is this the same God that helped our fathers in the past? If it is the same God, why are we like this today? No, I can't allow it to be like this. I will go and rebuild the walls of the city. It is through reflection that he gained the wisdom to go and do the right thing. Remember that. Even Peter talked about Peter. After something wrong, he gained the heart to do the right things. And here I say, reflection transforms mistakes into wisdom and pain into purpose. Proper reflection, it transforms any mistakes into wisdom and any pain into purpose. And you gain mastery to move through life. So I say again, don't just believe experience, but extract life-changing lessons from them. That's the purpose of you going back in time, is for the purpose of understanding. I did that, but now I will do this. That was a mistake, but now I will correct it. And you gain proper insight from whatever you do. I have laid that. Now, how do you track that? What are the steps for you to apply in your own life to be able to set aside time to reflect? And here I have for you 5 steps. And I say to you, the very first one, learn to have your time of quietness. Learn to have your time where you're just by yourself. In this busy world, things are so fast-paced now. Everything is fast, quick delivery, message, TikToks, short, and even the attention span of people has gone down. And because things are so fast-paced, then we feel we are also supposed to be updated with everything. No, we should learn to chill at times, to be by ourselves at times. And I want you to go and read Psalms 46:10. Be by yourself at time and set aside saying, this is my time. And once you do that, even have your book, have your journal. This is an advice. Have a journal of your victories and even have a journal of your losses. What is it that I won? What is it that I lost? And at times, read that. Read that to yourself. Read that on your ample time and see how much you enjoy life, because you will gather strength and hope in the faith to move forward. So keep a journal and then start by writing down the things that God has done to you. And then after writing the things that God has done to you, you find yourself practicing thanksgiving and gratitude. And that verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:18, it will be valid to you, because it will be a matter of giving thanks in all circumstances. That all your past mistakes, all your past victories, when you look at them now, you give God thanks. That, oh, it is through this past mistake I am here today, and I give you glory because you helped me before. And then after that, a very important principle is now to think of the goodness of God and reflect on His guidance and see how He directs you towards the future. You will not be the same if you do that. You will not be the same if you do that. So help me answer this question in the comment section if you can, and if you will. The question is, what lessons has God taught you and you haven't written down or meditated on them? What lessons have God taught you recently and you haven't written them down or meditated on them? And by saying that, I am also challenging you to write them down so that you can remember the things that God has blessed you with. This is the package that I wanted to share with you today. That when you sit down and reflect, you are gathering strength to face your life. That when you sit down and reflect, you are gathering wisdom to make decisions. When you sit down and reflect, you are gathering and you are acquiring a heart that is full of thanksgiving and gratitude. When you sit down and reflect and remember and recall the things that God has given you, your trust towards God is deepened. You find yourself trusting God. That God who helped me before is the same God who will help me now, and I can face tomorrow with confidence. When you reflect, where you are going becomes clear. Your vision is clarified. When you have a clear vision, you can attain the vision. When you look back and you say, oh, that is where we came from, and this is where we are, and that's where we are going, God will take us there. Your vision is cleared when you take time and reflect it. I hope this video has been a blessing to you. If it has been a blessing, please do just two things: comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Leave us your biggest takeaway. Leave us your biggest idea and profound item that you found out from this video. And also share it with a brother. Tell a brother so a brother can also be edified from this video. God bless you. Until we see another time, choose to remember what God has done to you and go and take exploit and conquer and experience the joy of God. Until we meet another time, God bless you. Shalom.